Hello, everyone. I'm Susie Garib, Fortune Brand Studio. There are more than 1 billion cigarette smokers worldwide, including nearly 30 million adults in the U.S. This makes tobacco harm reduction a critical issue on America's public health agenda. One company that's prioritizing this issue is British American Tobacco. With a mission to create a better tomorrow by building a smokeless world, BAT is working to transition smokers to potentially less risky alternatives, aiming for 50 million adult consumers of its smokeless products by 2030. Joining me now is Soraya Benchik, Chief Financial Officer at BAT, to talk more about how the company's driving this transformation for the future of smoking. Well, becoming Chief Financial Officer of a $32 billion company just doesn't happen overnight. I'd like to hear a little bit about your professional journey. I understand that you've spent most of your career at BAT, but then you left to go work somewhere else, and then you came back. Why did you return?
Look, let me start from the beginning. So I was born in Beirut, I'm Lebanese, and I came to Europe as a refugee in the 90s. I went to university to study mathematics, which was my passion. So I spent several years in finance, and I went from Africa to Europe, to Russia, to the Middle East. And then I decided to transition into general management. 2 years ago, Tadeo was appointed as CEO in BAT, and he approached me about rejoining again, back to finance after 10 years and over 10 years in general management. And I was very drawn by the transformation. I think it's one of the biggest transformations of our times, both for the industry and for BAT.
Talk about transformation. I mean, you're at a company now, BAT, that is going through a major transformation. Can you walk us through about what it's going to look like?
We want to reduce the harm caused by cigarettes by offering innovative, potentially reduced risk alternatives. We are investing an awful lot in R&D to develop these innovative alternatives. And with our knowledge of smokers, we have the insights, and now working with regulators to really remove all the misconceptions that are out there behind these potentially reduced risk alternatives, be it in vaping or modern oral or tobacco heating products, which are the three categories that BAT operates in.
So let's talk a little bit more about that transition, because we know that there are 1 billion adult smokers around the world. 30 million of them are in the U.S. Many of them are struggling to quit smoking. Why do you believe that these alternatives are so critical rather than just quitting smoking?
Susie, I smoked for many years. And I quit way before any of these potentially reduced risk alternatives were available on the market. I found it hard to quit, but I did do it in the end. But I often wonder that if I had these choices that are available today, whether I would have quit many years earlier. So I think these choices are critical, but they're also critical because, the harm in cigarettes is caused by the combustion process. This is what releases the toxicants. And so you can use nicotine and potentially reduce risk products that will remove from 95 to 99% of the toxicants. So some people will choose to continue to using nicotine. I think the biggest job that we have ahead of us is to work closely with regulators to make these products available, but also to remove the misconception, because a very large number of smokers today still believe that these new category products, the potentially reduced risk products, are as harmful as cigarettes. And this is really up to us to provide the science, to educate people, and to transition them to potentially reduced risk alternatives.
Well, it's a very tall order, and you're calling for 50 million adult consumers of smokeless products by the year 2030. That's just 5 years away. I mean, that's a massive shift. What are some of the concrete steps that you're taking to drive this transition, and what are the challenges that stand in your way?
Well, look, we have good understanding of the drivers. We have good consumer insights. We have to keep delivering innovations, and this we will continue to do. But we also have to work with regulators, because we can innovate. However, if you take the US as an example market, the cumbersome regulation that is here restricts us from launching some of the innovations that are available for consumers around the world. We are unable to launch them in the US. So we are very hopeful this will ease. So very exciting innovations that we hope we'll be able to bring to the US market in the future.
Well, another one of your big ambitious targets is that you want half of BAT revenue to come from these smokeless products that you've been talking about. What is your strategy to get there, and how do you balance that with the realities of a still thriving cigarette market?
I know it sounds very audacious to have more than 50% of your revenue, where today or last year we were at 17.5%. We do have several markets in the BAT group now that are over the 50% of revenues coming from smokeless products. So we are well on our way. I think we need the regulatory framework in most markets, and we have to work on the public misconception. But I think it is well within our reach, and we will transition sustainably from our cigarette business to our new category business. Who is best positioned to provide suitable alternatives to smokers? Probably us, because we know the consumer better than anyone. We have the insights, we can develop the innovations, we have the ability to fund research and development, launch products backed by science. We have the right product standards to be able to launch into the market. I think some of our products are very well known now, but it's changing already. We still have some work to do, but I think we're getting there.
Well, listening to you, Soraya, it's clear that you relish this process of leading the company through this transition, even with all of the ups and downs and the challenges. What else drives you?
We talked a lot about transformation and the ability to achieve great things and how essential this is for public health and tobacco harm reduction. Personally, I come from very humble beginnings. Certainly, me being here seemed impossible to be growing up where I'm from in Lebanon, but yet I'm here. And that's what drives me is to help people, companies, teams to achieve the impossible.